Third phase of moon. Third.
Now, welcome back to Third Phase Moon Radio. I'm your host, Dr. J. Andy Elias. Co-hosting with me today is the founder of Third Phase of Moon, Blake Cousins. We are also joined by special contributor and correspondent to Third Phase of Moon from the East Coast, Joe Kiernan. And today, we have a great show with you today, speaking with Nick Pope, former retired Ministry of Defense. He worked in the Ministry of Defense for the United Kingdom. Very important guy, unimpeachable, and a true man with integrity that is speaking out on one of the most important topics, which is right now, are extraterrestrials engaging Earth, and so much more. Without further ado, Mr. Pope, how are you this evening?
I'm fine, thank you very much indeed. It's great to be on the show.
Thank you very much.
Right here at Third Phase, we're up to about 110,000 subscribers, approaching 73 million views worldwide. And we're getting videos on a daily basis of strange UFO, paranormal videos, you name it, we get it right here at Third Phase of Moon. And there is something happening, and it seems like it's happening faster and faster as the months go on. And you made a quote, if I'm not mistaken, that you're saying that aliens could attack us at any time, and it's kind of a warning. What do you say about that?
Well, I think some of my remarks on that were maybe taken a little bit out of context. I was having a hypothetical discussion, and somebody asked me, well, look, you know, Nick, you've worked on this subject for real, for the government. So with Hollywood sci-fi movies in mind, what do you really think would happen? And in a speculative way, I threw some thoughts out there, and I said, well, we would fight back. I think that's in our nature. It's hardwired into us. And I said, inevitably, we would use various aircraft, drones, and weapon systems that undoubtedly we have now, but the existence of which the public are not yet aware. I think pretty much anyone involved in military research and development will tell you that we've got things that you won't see publicly declared for years. I mean, a good example is the stealth fighter, which was flying for many, many years before it became public knowledge. So all I said was, if we did encounter hostile aliens, we'd fight back, and we'd probably have some pretty sophisticated weapons to do so.
The other question is that the phenomenon, you know, the British government in July 2013 released 4,400 pages of previously unreleased documents. Was there any smoking gun footage that is released now? And is the British government still, are they disclosing everything that comes in regards to UFOs, or is there still a program as far as keeping some of this away from the public?
Well, the answer to that is yes and no. This release of documents that you refer to was actually the last batch in what's been a 5-year program to declassify and release the entire archive of these files. And in fact, since the process began in May 2008, there have been about 52,000 documents released. A lot of the material has been quite mundane, but there has been some pretty interesting papers in there, documents discussing sightings from police officers, from pilots, from military personnel, UFOs tracked on radar, photos and videos that MOD's technical specialists weren't able to debunk. And you know, I've worked on these files. I've actually been involved in the release program and have done interviews on it on shows including mainstream media programs like Larry King Live and Good Morning America and Nightline. So you know, I can say that yes, this material has been released and it's genuine. There isn't a smoking gun in there. There's not one single piece of paper that's going to tell you 100% certain this is real and, you know, we've got a spaceship hidden away somewhere. The reason I said at the beginning the answer to that is yes and no. We don't have all the material. There are exemptions to the UK Freedom of Information Act, just as there are to the American Act, covering areas such as defense, national security, intelligence, and also, and I'm afraid this one is the one that has people in the UFO community and the conspiracy theory community up in arms, the MOD say that they've inadvertently destroyed some of the best material and that they've lost some, for example, some of the best photos that we were ever sent.
Mr. Pope,
Okay,
Mr. Pope, can you quickly touch on, and I don't mean to jump around, but it's something a lot of people are definitely curious about, including myself, are the happenings of the crop circles in the UK. Where did you stand on that during your years of all your investigation? And can you tell us if these things are still occurring?
They are still occurring, but in rather less numbers, and disappointingly, certainly this season, a little bit less spectacular than some of the really complex geometric shapes and glyphs that we've had over the years. Now, when I was at the Ministry of Defense on the UFO project, crop circles were not formally in my terms of reference, but clearly because of the perceived link between crop circles and UFOs, I did look into the mystery a little bit. I have to say I'm broadly pretty skeptical on crop circles. I've seen some people make them. I think sometimes people underestimate just how big the teams are that sometimes go and create these things, how sophisticated they are in their planning, which is all done on computer, taking with them out into the fields, things like night vision goggles, global positioning system, the GPS to get the coordinates right. So I think what I'm saying is that most of these things are clearly made by people. But in a sense, never say never. I go back to what you said, what was said earlier in the show about Stanton Friedman's excellent and very correct quote. The believers only need to be right once. The skeptics have got to be right every single time, but the believers have only got to be right once. So, I'll keep an open mind. I'll watch. I have yet to be convinced, but, I'd love crop circles to be something more than just a bunch of people out having fun on a summer's night.
Go ahead, Blake.
Yeah, we at Third Phase Moon, we still have yet to see a legitimate crop circle being formed as in a real-time video. And that's one of the smoking gun videos that we're looking for. Everybody's seeing these crop circles the day after, when in high probability there are people out there with, their 4x4, planks of wood forming these crop circles. Sophisticated indeed, but, we're looking for these crop circles on video as they're being, constructed. But to the next question, and going back a little bit about time travel, the Higgs boson theory about, the Hadron Collider being sabotaged by time travelers, where there were breadcrumbs found in the machine, and it pretty much set them back for quite a while, and they could not explain on how the breadcrumbs got there, is an interesting topic. Did you want to touch on some of the theories you might have heard about that incident?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about breadcrumbs in the machine, but for all I know, that was some physicist having his lunch. But I don't mean to make light of this. I suspect, in a sense, this is unknowable. If time travel is real, I think clearly these people are capable of covering their tracks to an extent that we simply couldn't track them. And if we find something, it's probably only because they want us to. I mean, this is all speculative, of course, and the physics is way beyond me. I think the trouble with all of this is that you start off talking about this and you veer off into what almost becomes philosophical questions, debating the grandfather paradox, for example. I mean, if time travelers came back to sabotage the Large Hadron Collider, then they themselves in the future live in the world in which the Large Hadron Collider was sabotaged. And I mean, this is why we talk about this as going round and round in circles, that sort of causal loop and things. I mean, it is incredibly difficult, I think, to get one's head around this.
Well, let's get to facts and less hypothetical. The UK and the government is looking for UFO reports from jet commercial airline pilots. But here in the United States, last year, the FAA refuses to take reports of UFOs from commercial airline pilots and is referred to the Bigelow Aerospace program, which is quite interesting to me why they don't take the reports. The UK is taking the reports looking for pilots because these people have real character. They have the eyes to see what is a UFO and what the regular commercial airline or a typical aircraft. Why do you think that the FAA is refusing to take these reports and they're handing it off to this independent Bigelow Aerospace program?
Well, I think, in a sense, there's two separate questions there.